These are metals that seem to have been left behind, or in some cases dropped off the craft. The most famous one that I'm aware of, well, there's two of them, but one is Council Bluffs, Iowa. Multiple witnesses, molten metal on the ground.
You already know what I'm about to say. Hollywood's been feeding us the same script for 70 years. Aliens are friendly. They come in peace. And if they're here, the government will tell us when we're ready. But here's the thing, though. They're not telling you anything. And a Stanford professor just broke that silence wide open. His name is Gary Nolan, and the metal he's holding in those locked to Shiansher. You wouldn't believe me if I described it. Actually, wait, let me start earlier. Because this doesn't start with a lab. It starts with Steven Spielberg. The same guy who made you believe in Close Encounters. The same guy who made E.T. feel like a lost puppy. He's got a new film coming out. It's called Disclosure Day. And the plot? A government cover-up of extraterrestrial intelligence. A race to broadcast the truth. Now, you and I both know Hollywood doesn't just stumble into topics like this. They test the water. They soften the ground. So when Spielberg suddenly drops a movie about the government hiding aliens, you have to ask why. You already know the answer. But here's where it gets dangerous. Professor Nolan sat down for an interview recently, and he said something that should have been front-page news everywhere. It wasn't. He said if something is here, it's likely been here a long time. Longer than us. Probably predates human civilization. Think about that. A Stanford pathologist. Not a UFO nut. Not a guy with tinfoil. A guy who analyzes materials for a living. And he's holding metals. Actual physical metals that fell off something. Something that wasn't built by any factory you've ever heard of. Let me tell you about the first piece. Council Bluffs, Iowa. Multiple witnesses saw it happen. Molten metal hit the ground, and when Nolan got his hands on it, the metals were mixed in ways we would never mix them. Combinations that make no sense for any human engineering. Now stay with, because the second piece is even worse. It comes from Uberaba, Brazil, 1950s. Nearly pure silicon, 99.999% pure. Humans in the 1950s could not make silicon that pure. We weren't there yet, not even close. But that's not the part that broke Nolan's brain. It's the isotopes. Isotopes are just flavors of an element. Everywhere on Earth, silicon has the same 3 flavors in the same mix. It's like a fingerprint for our planet. But this Brazilian sample, different mix, completely different. For no reason a human engineer would ever create, Nolan won't say it's proof. He's careful. He's a scientist. But he's also a man staring at something that shouldn't exist. And the question he leaves hanging in the air is this. Or why would someone make this? Or more terrifying, what made it? I need you to slow down with me for a second. Just breathe. Because this is the part nobody talks about. The part that actually scares me. Nolan says he got most of these materials from a man named Jacques Valet. Valet has been collecting this stuff for 50 years. 50 years of chains of evidence. 50 years of watching the government say nothing. And now a Stanford professor is standing in front of a camera saying out loud that we've had 12 billion years for something to evolve. 12 billion. And we humans, we've been out of the caves for maybe a few thousand. Look at what we've already built: AI, rockets, silicon. Everything we do today runs on silicon. So what happens if we get our hands on materials that are built with principles we don't even understand yet? You see where this is going. They don't want you asking that question. Not really. Because the second you start asking it, you realize something ugly. Every single major institution that told you there was nothing to see. The Pentagon, NASA, your evening news, they all had the same story. Nothing here. Move along. And now a man from Stanford is holding metal that says otherwise, quietly, carefully, without using the words that would get him mocked. But he's saying it, and Spielberg is making movies about it. And the timing, well, here's my problem, and I'm just gonna say it plain. If these materials are real, if even one of those isotope ratios is real, then everything they taught you about human history is wrong, not incomplete. Wrong. Somebody knew. Somebody always knows. And they chose to keep you in the dark while they figured out what to do with it. That's not protecting you. That's controlling you. And you know it, just like I know it. So here's where we are. A Hollywood director is about to drop a film that tells you the truth they've been hiding. A Stanford scientist is holding the receipts. And the mainstream media, they played a clip of him laughing about his college astronomy class. That's what you got. No outrage. No questions about why the isotopes don't match Earth. Just a chuckle and a commercial break. They think you're not paying attention. They're wrong. So I'll ask you directly, and I want to see this in the comments. If a Stanford professor says the metal in his lab shouldn't exist on this planet, how many more years are you going to let them tell you nothing's there?